would click on their coffee cup emoticon, because we use this one a lot. So use the drop down arrow and click on your coffee mug. Perfect. And then you can play around. Pick a couple other ones that you like. We've got some new ones. I sort of like these googly-eyed. I like this googly-eyed guy. He's a new one. So it does look a little different from how it was before. Great. So those are just ways that you can simply and quickly communicate an emotion or an action throughout a presentation to the other participants to see, or just, if you want your host to see that you stepped away. Now, in the lower right-hand corner of your monitor, the chat feature is there's a chat panel. And this is another tool that we use that works much like instant messaging. You can see that there's a picture of that on the slide as well. All you do to chat is write in the chat box in the bottom right-hand side of the screen and then hit send. Now, you can select all participants if you want everyone to see, or you can just select an individual's name. So everybody, let's do that. So first off, can you hear all of us at the same time? If you're right now with everyone unmuted, if you all started talking, it would all be a big jumble. So yeah, you can all come through at the exact same time.
Okay.
Which is why we use the hand raise option, just in case if you have to talk.
I wasn't sure, because when I talk or when you've asked questions, I'd see my name come up, like in the big windows. I wasn't sure if you're giving you rights to be heard versus not.
There is a way to do that. We tend to keep these sessions open, though, honestly, because we want we actually encourage interactions. I know that some people use WebEx in MFS who shut that down and don't allow it. But we don't. We like it. We like everybody to view it. The reason why you're coming up a little different, Dominic, is you're the only person who has their video camera on. So if right now I turned on my video camera, because I'm talking, you'd see me come up, and my face now would replace your face, and you'd be down in the little box.
I'm always in the little box anyways. So when it's blacked out in the big box while this whole course is happening.
That's right, because nobody else is talking. That's why. Only the person who's talking goes into the big box.
Got it. And if we were all on camera, would we be able to see everybody?
Not on this screen. We'll get to that. We'll get to that, because no, that's okay. These are all great questions, but we will get to that. But no, not in this screen. But there is a way to do it, and we'll show you that down the road.
Perfect.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for asking. So everybody go ahead and let's use the chat feature and send to all participants what your favorite movie is. And I know it's hard to pick because there's so many good ones, but. We got some good ones here. The Sound of Music. That was the first musical I was ever in. I was Brigitte. Love Actually, La La Land. Yeah, I haven't seen La La Land yet, but I've heard it's wonderful. Crash, The Breakfast Club classic. Grosse Point Blank, wonderful. Yeah, we got some good ones here. Wonderful. Forrest Gump, oh, that's a good one too. I think that would be considered a classic these days now. Perfect. And so then, as I said as well, if you wanted to send a private chat to another participant, in that send to, where it says send to all participants, the drop-down arrow allows you to scroll down and you can select the individual name of somebody to send a message to, which you can try right now as I continue talking if you want to try that. We do just caution you that if you are having a private chat, be aware of what you're writing, just in case you accidentally hit all participants and you send the chat to everyone. You want to make sure that it's appropriate for everybody, and that has happened. All right, so now we're going to draw your attention to the top left-hand corner of your screen, where you will find the the whiteboard toolbar. And remember that, again, these are all toggles. So if you click on it once, it works, and if you click on it a second time, it stops working. Or if you click on an alternate tool, the new tool will start working. So on the far left-hand side, we have the pointer tool. And if you want to click on the pointer tool, you can do so again, just put it anywhere in the screen. And then to the right of the pointer tool, you have the letter T. That is your text tool. And so if you want to select your text tool and just type next to your pointer, so just right to the right of your pointer, type in your favorite color. And remember that when you type in your type, which Margaret would have reviewed for you, just click away. So click anywhere else on the screen when you're finished typing so that we can see what you've written. For those of you who are yellow, like Glenda, notice how we really can't see what you've written. So Margaret's going to point for you. There's a way to change your color so that you can pick a color that's a little bit brighter. So on the whiteboard tool, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 6th tool down is, Margaret, if you can point to the change color box there on the page so she can see. Hello, Margaret. Oops, maybe we lost her again. So right here, Glenda, I'm using my pointer, my red pointer. If you go to your toolbar and you select the drop-down arrow to the right of this box, you'll get a choice of colors. Just pick something like red or green, something that's going to stand out.
Okay.
Thank you, Margaret.
And if you're on a Mac, you have to click and hold. You're able to change your color. That's good.
There you go.
Remember, if you're on a Mac, you have to click and hold the drop-down menu for about 5 seconds to see the choices.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, you got it. All right, wonderful. And then to the right of your text tool, there's line tool, square tool, and marker tool. So I would just like everybody, just draw on the page. I want you to just go ahead and take your thing and make lines. We're going to make this page ugly. And all you have to do, all you have to do is select it, and then you left click and just drag and hold down as you draw. And the more you use it, better you get with it. And again, you can change your colors. So I just made a little red heart in the right-hand side. But now I'm going to change my marker to green and fill in. So you can change all the colors of the lines and all of your other things too. You just can't change your pointer tool color. And then finally, the very right-hand side is the eraser tool. Now you can click on that eraser tool and just single click away everything you've done, or the drop down to the right of the eraser, you can just click on the words, clear my annotations, and that's going to take off everything you've drawn all at once. There, you guys are getting it. You're fast. All right. And so that is how we use those tools. Any questions? I know you guys went over it pretty much in detail with Margaret, so I'm anticipating probably not too many, but are there any questions about how any of these tools work before we move on? All right, awesome. Go ahead and clear your emoticons so that we can start with a fresh slate for
I have a question. Sorry, I have a question.
Go ahead, Glenda.
If for example, I'm sorry, my English is so rough.
It's okay.
So, thank you. I made a mistake before because I wrote a word in yellow and it's not very good for the site. So is there any chance to change the same word that I already wrote another color?
That is a great question. No, you have to, it's only after you can change it, change the color.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so you'd have to just erase the word. Now, if you haven't, so you know how we say when you've typed a word in, you have to click away for us to be able to see it?
Yes.
If you haven't clicked away, you can backspace the word, change the color, and rewrite it. Yes. But if you've already clicked away so that now everyone can see it, you have to use your eraser tool, erase it, and then retype.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
No problem. And Dominic asked, it did not go away when I cleared the annotation.
Yeah, so when we used the clear all annotation, everything went away except our pointer names. Is there a way to remove what you've left behind, like as your principal pointer with your name on it?
Yeah, so if you go to the eraser to the right and you click on the drop-down menu, you're going to see a choice of clear my pointer.
I see it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The pointer sort of acts as its own little thing, right? Like it's separate from the other tools in that you can't change the color of it and you have to clear it separately.
Okay.
All the other tools follow the other rules. All right. Any other questions before we move on? If not, Margaret, over to you.
Okay, so what I'm going to ask you to do now, please, if you can take your, bring your eyes to the top left-hand side and grab your pointers and choose one of these descriptive words. Because now it's going to be your turn to practice using these descriptive verbs to the left, to the right, above, below, to instruct your virtual classroom, to instruct your participants how to use these tools. So I don't know if you noticed, but when Joanna was explaining, she used like top and to the bottom and the screen and to the left or the right, below and above. So make sure those are the communication terms that you need to use because we don't have eye-to-eye contact all the time. So since this class is about hands-on practice, we're now going to ask each of you to take turns describing the point that you're going to point. So grab your pointers and choose one of these 7 to describe. And Dominic and Glenda, you're going to have to arm wrestle for who gets that one and move on. Super, wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to ask you, Denise, to describe for your class how to find the participant panel using the descriptive words that we talked about.
You'll find the participant panel to the right of the screen, and you see the word participants at the top.
Okay, good. And can you explain a little bit about why the what is the participant panel?
On the participants panel, you can see within the workshop, you will see we have a host and 7 attendees.
Is there anything else that you can see on the participant panel?
You also have some tools near the bottom, and chat is at the bottom.
Okay. Well, can you explain the mute?
The mute icon is at the far right-hand side of your name, and it looks like a microphone with a line through it. So if you click on that, you are muting yourself. To unmute yourself, just click on it again.
Very good. Okay. So thank you very much. That's great.
You're welcome.
So now, Heather, can you describe the chat area, please? And I'll bring the, you can use that.
Okay, so on the lower right-hand side of your screen, you're going to see the word chat. It has like a little gray arrow beside it. If you click on that arrow, you can actually expand the chat. And on the bottom again, on your lower right side, you're going to see where it says send to. You're going to have a drop-down box that says all participants. But if you go ahead and click on that, you're going to be able to see everyone who is in the WebEx at the moment. So you can either choose to send to everyone, or you can also choose to send to an individual person. To send a message, you just click on the text box underneath send to, type in what you'd like to send, and then hit the send button.
Brilliant. That was very well described. Absolutely. And then sometimes when you're speaking about the chat, you may want to say that there is an opportunity to do the private chat, and private chats are truly private. Even the recording does not access that.
Okay.
Awesome job, Heather. That's great. Glenda, can you explain about the pointer?
Yes. At the top left of the screen of the virtual session, you will find the pointer. Once you do a click on it, all the participants can put their name and explain in the text, in the image, the content that they are talking about.
Very good. So the content we're talking about to show, to demonstrate, that was well done.
Thank you, my God.
So you want to make sure you tell them to the left of your screen, it's a little arrow, and that it gives you a pointer. Well done. It's tough. It's great, but you know, you want to be very calm when you're explaining this stuff. Caitlin, can you explain the green check and the red? Well, it used to be the green check mark and the red X. Now it's just the check mark and the red X with the new system.
Absolutely. So if you go to the top right-hand corner of your screen, as Denise pointed out to us, the participants, ensure that that is maximized. If you go to the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, you will see a check mark and an X. You can click on the check mark, and a check mark will appear next to your name. To remove it, you just, same thing for the X. It can be used really well for yes or no questions.
Okay. And did you want to try it, Caitlin?
Sure. Okay.
That's just a fun question.
Yes, fun question. Let me know, give me a check mark if you've ever traveled outside of Canada.
Ooh, we're traveling.
Oh, yeah.
That's a great question.
Yes.
And then, of course, that would encourage facilitation. So you'll see on the script, we're going to talk about the script a little later, a word that says facilitate as required. So you'll always want to be engaging and facilitating. Oh, Dominic, where have you been?
Yeah.
I was in Colorado not too long ago. I've been down south.
Super. So that's, we want to bring our people in. I really liked also, Caitlin, the way you used Denise's name, because when you use somebody's name in the virtual classroom, it brings them back to the presentation. It's like engaging them all over again. So well done. All right, Dominic, the mute button.
Okay, so I'll ask you to move your eyes to the right-hand side of the screen and find your name. Next to that, you'll see the mute button as well as the camera icon. We keep the mute button generally unselected so we can hear everything, but if you click on it, you'll notice an X will appear and it will turn red. The camera icon, if you select that, you will see a picture of yourself or the speaker when they're speaking.
I like how you brought the color red in there, because that really hits the point home.
Perfect, thank you.
Super. And Danielle, can you explain to us on the text tool?
Sure. So the text tool is located on the upper left side of the screen underneath where you see the term session info. It's right beside the pointer tool, a little T shape. So if you click it, it allows you to type on the screen. So maybe everyone can enter where they were born.
That's thinking on the fly. I love it. Look at us. We're from everywhere.
Ever heard of Kirkland Lake? Kirkland Lake.
I don't see you, Joanna.
Is in Northern Ontario.
I'm right above Tourview.
Oh, okay. Here you go. Bellevue, Ohio. Very good.
Now I have to see Kirkland Lake.
Communicating in a live classroom where you have that eye-to-eye contact and people can see what you're pointing to. It takes practice. Remember to use the name, use your clear, descriptive words, and just really pay attention to your surroundings in the virtual classroom when you're instructing. The more you do it, obviously, the easier it becomes as you go along. So any questions about how to describe the tools?
I just realized when I was trying to erase my own annotations with the eraser that I'm actually able to erase other people's as well.
That's because I've given you privileges for that.
Okay.
But I could also take those privileges away and and now try to do it.
Oh, no longer able to.
But in this class, we encourage people to write and to change and to practice and to play. So all the privileges are for everybody. And the privileges are something we're going to go through in your practice sessions, so you'll have a better idea of how to set them and how to not set them.
Okay.
Yeah, great question. Oh, super. All right. So that was an excellent activity. So now I'd like to, first of all, give me a check mark if you drink coffee. Okay, red X if you do not. Do you have hot chocolate, Heather?
I'm a tea drinker.
Oh, no bad habits. Uh-oh, you. Okay, so here what we're going to be doing is, you've seen the virtual language requires clear and concise step-by-step language. So that's where the script comes in. And you're going to learn throughout how to script your presentation to include those directions step by step, which really helps in making sure that you don't forget anything. If you lose connectivity, your partner can follow on the script. So let's start. For example, if we were in a physical classroom and we had to make the coffee for the people who were in our classroom, what would be the very first thing? Raise your hand to tell me, what's the very first thing that you would do to make your coffee in the morning? Everybody raise their hand and keep them up so I can see the numbers. Okay, Heather, what's the very first thing?
Get my kettle and fill it.
Get your kettle and fill it. Okay, Denise, what's the next thing?
Turn the machine on.
Turn the machine on. Okay, and let's see who's next. Danielle.
I make my coffee a little differently. So once the kettle's full, I would need to get a filter and measure out the amount of coffee I need for how many cups I'm making.
Caitlin, what would you do next?
I would be either getting the kettle to a boil, or I use a stovetop kettle, so putting the kettle on the stove and turning the stove on.
Okay, turn the stove on, put the stove on, the kettle on the stove. Dominique, what's the next thing you're going to do?
Oh, I'm going to push the start button on that machine and wait for it to percolate.
That's how I make coffee too. This is the old-fashioned coffee. Good. Push the start button. Excellent. And Glenda, what are you going to do next?
Enjoy the coffee.
You're going to enjoy the coffee. Wow. So these are the steps to making coffee. This is what we call raw. It's not scripted. We've just kind of popcorn thought it out. Everybody threw in one idea. Well, this is what we do. So first we get the kettle and fill it with water. Then we turn the machine on. Then we get the filter and add the amount of coffee you need. You turn the stove on and get the kettle to boil. Then you push the start button and you enjoy the coffee. Let's look at it if we were to script this. What would that look like? Okay. So if we're making a scripted coffee, the night before, locate the coffee pot on the right-hand side of the kitchen counter. Fill the pot with the cold water from the filtering jug located on the top shelf of the fridge. Flip open the water compartment. Pour the water from the pot into the compartment, then close the water compartment. Wipe up any water that might have fallen. Open the coffee filter. Open the cupboard door that is directly above the coffee maker and select a filter. Put the filter into the compartment. You take the coffee out of the freezer and use the spoon. Adjust the timer. Press the round timer set button. Go to sleep and wake up with the smell of freshly brewed coffee. Pour coffee into your favorite mug that is sitting to the right of the coffee maker. Ah, enjoy. It's going to be a great day. So raise your hand if you can tell me the difference between the scripted that we designed here and the raw. Okay, so Glenda, what's one thing that you noticed?
The details.
There's detail in a script.
Yes.
Absolutely. Heather, what's something else that you noticed?
Well, in the undetailed one, I mean, we were talking about old-fashioned coffee making and then the Keurig coffee making. So with the scripted one, it's obviously like we've chosen, you know, the type of coffee that we're making and how we're making it.
Right. So we knew what we were doing and we knew what we were speaking about, and that's what we went with.
Right.
Whereas the raw was a little bit of everything, wasn't it? It was some kettle and some turning the button on.
Exactly.
Okay, Dominic, what are some things that you noticed?
Just that the instructions were very, very specific. Anybody could, you know, really follow these instructions and make a pot of coffee.
Margaret, are you there?
Can you continue for a moment?
We lost her, everybody. Margaret, are you there?
Can you continue for a moment? My system just went down.
Yes, sure can.
Thank you.
No problem. Yeah. So in order for presenters in a virtual classroom to be able to communicate clearly and to remember each detail and the order to be taught, we use scripting to guide us in the facilitation and production of a virtual session. And when people hear scripting, they get a little bit nervous because they're like, oh, if you're like me, I'm a public speaker, so I tend to just sort of go off the cuff a lot, or maybe I use a few, note cards, but that's it. But in a virtual session, clear communication is key to encourage collaboration and participant engagement. Using words like, let me draw your eyes to the right-hand side of the screen. This may seem basic and unimportant, but actually basic, simple directions will give your participants a more stressless learning environment. I was a student in the pilot program of adapting a live presentation to a virtual audience. And to tell you the truth, it wasn't until I actually started developing these kinds of virtual programs that I realized the importance of the scripting to the virtual workshop. So today, why we went through this exercise is we want to introduce the concept of virtual communication and why we script and why we want you to script your programs out for your final presentation and then going forward. And throughout the series, we're going to be going step by step to teach you how to actually script your presentation. Suffice for you to know for now, we use scripts to clearly communicate and to engage our participants every 3 to 5 minutes in a virtual classroom. So any questions about the difference between using raw and using scripted? Give me a smiley face if you're ready to move on. I just like the guy with sunglasses, so I just
super easy to do. Thank you very much. And that's another reason it's great to have a script, because then when my system goes down, my partner in crime can help out for sure. So in Europe, the system is not always that great. So this quote really spoke to me. And so you don't learn to walk by following the rules. You learn by doing and falling over occasionally. So I've been working in virtual outreach for about 7 years now, and in that time I almost still learn something new from each one of my students whenever I do a session. I remember when I first started, all I had to do was just go to the meeting, But then after 2 months, Deb, my assistant, came to me and she said, I remember this day so clearly. She said, Margaret, she said, I think you need to learn how to use virtual now. You need to set it up. So here, and she gave me this huge binder with everything in it. And I said, whoa, and I was so afraid. And this was about 6 months after I started, yeah, 2 months after. So after smiling, she said to me very wise words. She says, Margaret, you cannot break WebEx. And you have to practice and play and experiment, but always remember you cannot break it. So from that day forward, I'm forever thankful for Deb, because I learned, and now I've been able to develop this great training, and we're reaching out to our families that are not living right next to our centers. Like in Europe, there's 400 families living in 16 countries. So don't be afraid of WebEx, because you can't break it. You just want to practice and play, and you don't learn to walk by following the rules. You learn by doing and by falling over occasionally.
So this is actually a great place to pause. We are going to take a 5-minute break, and when we get back, we will start the virtual class with, I believe, a breathing exercise. So you can see how we do a little yoga breathing here in the virtual classroom. And then we will look at the key stakeholders of a virtual presentation and what do they all mean. So if everybody wants to set their clocks for 5 minutes, and remember to put your coffee mugs up before we head out. And you can mute yourself as well if you would like, so that if you're having a conversation in the background, we're not privy to it.
And I'm going to share my desktop so that you can see the timer as well.
right, see you in 5 minutes.
I hear somebody's water bottle. It's going to make me have to go to the bathroom. Okay. Just give us a green check when you're back, please. Sorry, give us a check mark when you're back.
I know. We're going to struggle with that for a while, I think.
Old habits die hard. It's not green, it's gray. You want to get started and Danielle can join us when she's back?
Sounds good. All right, everyone.
Let's exercise.
So here's a great 1-minute breathing exercise that you can share with your participants wherever they are. It is a centering activity based on a slow inhalation and an incremental increase in the length of exhalation. So either stand up if you are in a place where you don't feel conspicuous standing up, or you may sit up tall. And we're going to do an inhale to the count of 2. 1, 2, and an exhale to the count of 2. 1, 2. Inhale to the count of 2. 1, 2. Exhale to the count of 3. 1, 2. Inhale to the count of 2. 1, 2. Exhale to the count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale to the count of 2. 1, 2. Exhale to the count of 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And now just stretch your hands up to the ceiling. Wonderful, and we are back. So there you go. That's just a simple breathing exercise in the middle of your day, because we know how stressful our lives can be sometimes. And we'll get you some oxygen to your brain for the next half of the class. So remember that creativity is key and anything is possible in an interactive virtual classroom.
Yes, and as a family liaison officer, if you're doing a mindfulness exercise, you can do.
Margaret, we're still losing you. I don't know if you want to try unplugging your headset. I don't know if it's your headset or what have you.
I love your radio voice.
There you go. Or maybe try disconnecting and reconnecting audio. I'm not sure. All right. The trick to virtual programs is that it's a team, and it takes a team to design, deliver, and evaluate your virtual programs. This team consists of 5 members. However, you might find that you're all 5 of these people rolled into one from time to time. But this is just to let you know sort of what those different roles look like. So we have a subject matter expert, or you can call them the professor, the presenter, the producer, the participant, and the administrator of the platform. Each has a distinct role and is an integral part of any virtual workshop. But again, remember, sometimes you may find that you're fulfilling all of the roles at once, or you may have to switch roles in the middle of the presentation. So you'll notice Margaret and I actually have been switching roles. I will be speaking, she will be producing, and then we'll switch roles. She'll be presenting, and I will be producing. So let's take a close look at each of these. We're going to start with the subject matter expert. This one really speaks for itself. This is the person who's knowledgeable about the subject that they are teaching. They have done their research and have designed the PowerPoint presentation and script for their live workshop. This could be you developing a program. You might be the subject matter expert on deployment programming, or you might be hosting a guest speaker who is the subject matter expert and who has prepared their presentation. The SME or SME has the knowledge and expertise and is building the content of the program. But remember, the SME may not have any experience in virtual programming, so if you bring in a guest speaker to do a virtual program. So they may require assistance in adapting the session to a virtual audience, including how do they add engaging activities every 3 to 5 minutes, and how do they use the tools in the classroom. One time, we hosted a special guest speaker who was extremely knowledgeable in her field. She was asked to present a 1-hour session on a specific topic. During the practice, it was noted that her presentation was actually 2.5 hours long, and that's a long time to sit in front of a computer. They scheduled a second practice with a detailed script and were able to coach her to present her information in an hour while keeping it engaging and informative for their participants. All of this to say that the SME is also, if the SME is also the presenter, they will require time to practice, sometimes more than once, to ensure participant collaboration in a virtual classroom. Or if you, once you've taken this class, are the SME, you should know what you're doing and should know how to build those things in. So that's why you're taking the class, so that if you are the subject matter expert, you can also present using the platform. All right. This brings us to the role of the presenter. Margaret?
Yes, so the role of the presenter, they're the person that leads the session. So they deliver the presentation to the participants, they engage. They could also be the subject matter expert, the one that creates the presentation as well as the presenter. But so you have different roles, and you never really know, when you're going to be called upon to be extra parts. It's really important for the presenter to practice the presentation. It's important for the presenter to manage the classroom, to engage the participants, to make sure that they're understanding and following along. They facilitate the discussions, and they engage their participants every 3 to 5 minutes. The classroom management is really important for the presenter because they always have to have a plan B ready to go in case something in the presentation doesn't work out the way they have planned. So they have to know that presentation in and out, and if it's going over, they have to know what they can cut. If they have extra time, they have to know what they can add. So it's really important to have a plan B, C, and D when you are the presenter. The presenter will work as part of a team. So they work in collaboration with the producer to manage the participants. So your participants are not going to monopolize the conversation so that they're using the chat. It's really a teamwork between the presenter and the producer, and you'll see that in your demonstrations. So although the producer is the key person for troubleshooting, as the presenter, I have to know how to troubleshoot as well. In case the producer has to leave for a moment, I have to be able to continue on the show. The show must go on, as they say. In our case, the presenter also maintains the files and the evaluations to continually improve the material as well. So that's what the presenter is. So we have the subject matter and the presenter. And next we're going to talk about the producer. So do you want to handle the role of producer, Joanna?
I will. So the producer is the main troubleshooter of the session. They monitor participation, including chats and Q&A. So you'll notice that I was watching down there in the chat to see if people were asking questions. They set up breakout rooms, polls, and video sharing, and they facilitate the presentation with annotations. So you'll notice that throughout you've been seeing words show up on the slide, so right there in front of you, main troubleshooter, and you see the producer's arrow pointing to follow along on the slide. We call the producer the MacGyver of the session, finding solutions with virtual duct tape at the click of a mouse. This list on this slide is sort of long, and it's no way all-inclusive of what a producer does, but it totally shows the value and heavy workload of the producer. So preparing and sharing the participant list with the facilitator, troubleshooting IT issues, if they register, if the session on the virtual platform, arriving 30 minutes early to assist the participants with login, monitoring timing to ensure session starts and ends on time, using private chat to communicate, introducing participants to new tools. And it also is nice as a producer to bring in a new voice, so you're not just hearing the same voice the whole time, if you have the luxury of having a producer. And of course, setting up the breakout room polls and video sharing and facilitating as required. From setup to preparing and sharing participant checklist, your producer is an integral part of the virtual team. And pretty much anytime we do a major presentation, we ask for the partnership of a producer, somebody else who knows how to use the platform. Okay, any questions? So
when I have a session that has more than 30 people, I ask Joanna to come in to assist me so that we're 2 producers for a session.
yeah, so a lot of times Margaret and I, because we are so familiar with the platform, we sort of act as both the SME, the presenter, and the producer. But when you're first getting started, and you'll find this when you do your demonstration of the classroom tools, it's really great having that backup person to support you and help you manage the classroom. So any questions about the roles of the SME, presenter, or producer before we move on? All right, I don't see any hands, so let's move on to the participants. Okay, so in a virtual classroom, each team member has a distinct role. There are roles for the producer, the presenter, but also for you, the participant. Some of the responsibilities of the participants are, let's do a tag team reading of this slide. So I'd like everybody to grab your pointer tool located in the whiteboard toolbar in the upper left-hand corner of your screen. And I'd like you to use your pointer to claim a line. So put your pointer to one of these lines. And Margaret and I will fill in. And if you see that you're over top of somebody else, just move yours to a different line. And so Denise, can you move yours down to a different one? All right, and so starting with Glenda, just read out loud your line, and then we're just going to read down the list.
Put your coffee cup if you leave the session.
Log in 10 minutes prior to the session.
Turn off email and other distractions.
Place an in a meeting sign on your door.
And Denise, don't forget you're muted.
Sorry.
That's okay.
To be prepared, having done any readings and assignments.
Raise your hand if you have a question.
Use your chat to share thoughts.
Participate in the discussions and fill in any evaluation forms with feedback. Wonderful. So that's called popcorn reading. Just another way to engage your participants every 3 to 5 minutes. Quickly, why is that so important? Well, in a live classroom, you can see if somebody's dozing off and you can call on them. In a virtual classroom, you don't have that luxury. So building these kinds of engaging activities in helps sort of bring people back. If they're starting to get a little dozy, you can bring them back by asking them to do something, by engaging them. All right. Can anybody think of anything else you can think of as a participant that you would say is your role or responsibility? I feel like this is a pretty detailed list, but maybe somebody thought of something else. I think participants actually have one of the biggest roles because without you, there's no point.
That's right.
All right, excellent. So
learning in the future, we're going to be learning about different participant styles, learning styles, whether they're visual, auditory, as well. So that's coming up in session 5, I think, 4 or 5. Yeah.
All right. Margaret,
Throughout,
I think. Yeah, go ahead.
Every session, we're going to be modeling various engaging activities that you can incorporate into your own presentations. So again, to engage your participants every 3 to 5 minutes. So everything we say, everything we do is a teaching. So this popcorn reading is a way that you can think, oh, maybe I can use this in my presentations. So we encourage you to steal and use any of the activities that you see. So as such, we're going to play a game called Whose Job Is It? On the next 2 slides, we're going to give you a description of a role. And what I'm going to ask you to do is claim your spot with your pointer on the left. And then I'm going to ask you to use your text tool, the big capital T to the right of the pointer, to write your answer to the question. And the question is, whose job is it? So we're going to start with the next one right away. I'm going to get you to read it quietly and then grab your pointers and write down your answer now. Whose job is it? Are key in troubleshooting and in preparing all of the behind-the-scenes activities that go on throughout the class. They facilitate in the monitoring of the classroom activities and tools. Whose job is it? You can click away so we can see what your answer is. Denise, did you write anything?
Yes.
Oh, great. Super. So everybody here says the producer. Very good. That's exactly what it is. And what was the key word there? I think Joanna's encased them quite nicely as my producer. Thank you, Joanna. Troubleshooting, behind the scenes, and monitoring. So checking the chat to make sure there's no comments or questions. Any kind of troubleshooting, that's basically the producer. So very good. And you are all correct. And that doesn't always happen either. I think we have a great group here, Joanna.
We do.
What I really appreciated in the popcorn reading too, Joanna, was the different lovely voices. We have really unique voices here. I think it's great. Right, over to you, my dear.
All right, so whose job is it? Participation, preparation, and part of the group. The role of this multitasking partner is to add to the conversation, share their thoughts and experiences, and celebrate their learning. So whose job is this? We're getting some different ones. Go ahead and click away if you.
And the reason that everything we say and do for a reason. The reason we ask you to claim a spot is because if you just write willy-nilly, you may write on top of each other.
Yeah, perfect.
And that's happened before too. So that's why we ask people to claim a spot so that they're not writing on the top.
So if you said participant, you are correct. Without you, the participants, the rest of the roles wouldn't be needed. You need to be prepared, you need to participate, and you need to bring your own thoughts and ideas to the learning process. So, so that's why for those of you who put presenter, they're a partner, but they're part of the group, and their job is to participate. So great job, everybody. We try to trip you up a little bit just so you know, like this activity teaches the same information in a different way to teach the different learning styles. So we will learn more about learning styles in the intermediate part of the course.
Very
All right.
good.
Margaret, if you'd like to review participant checklists.
Yeah, so one of the tools that you're going to find really helpful, that I know I found helpful in the past when you're beginning your virtual programs, is a participant checklist. So this has the participant's name, their email address, a phone number, maybe a participant tally mark so that we can monitor, making sure that everybody's having an opportunity to be part of the discussion. So the participant checklist is a tool that you can use, and again, the tools that, this tool you can use or not use, but we really appreciate it. And it helps us to keep on track, and if we have troubleshooting or if we need to call somebody to help them with the login, we have the information right there at our fingertips. So why would you think we would want to have, why should the producer and the presenter have this participant checklist at the session? So can you raise your hand and let us know why? Dominic.
In case the video feed or the audio feed fails for whoever is the producer, then the presenter can take over.
Absolutely. Well, for the that's for the script.
Mm-hmm.
But for sure, if a student goes out, then the producer can work with that student by private chatting or calling them and helping them out. Absolutely. Yep. So it just helps with the troubleshooting. It makes it easy when it's all right there. And anybody who's extremely organized would really appreciate having this tool. Denise, did you have another comment you wanted to make?
No, just to bring it together, both the presenter and the producer are able to troubleshoot.
Absolutely. And when do you think you would use the participation tally marks? Why do we have that there? Raise your hand if you can let me know why. Is that important? Dominique?
Is it to make sure that everybody that is engaged and you're kind of keeping track of the participation?
Exactly. So if you have somebody who's really quiet and doesn't feel like participating or doesn't speak, you want to make sure that they're heard. Whether you ask them to chat their information, you want to make sure that they're engaged and that their points are being heard. And the participation tally mark helps us to engage our participants every, how often?
3 to 5 minutes.
Awesome. You're going to hear that so much. So I'm going to be sending out the template for the participant checklist, which is in your handbook, but I'll also send it out in the after-session email. And it's really important to send an after-session email with links and information after your guest speaker series or any virtual presentation that you do. So that's coming in the after-session email. Great. And now, as our final exercise of the night, we're going to ask each of you to list some ideas that you have for your presentation for your 1-hour workshop. Things that you might like to deliver in the virtual classroom for your final project. So this is not set in stone. So we'd like you to grab your pointer on the top left-hand side of the screen and claim a row. And I'm just going to give you 3 minutes of quiet time just to really think about 2 or 3 topics that you might like to do for a final project, just to get your mind thinking about it. Give me a green check, or give me a gray check when you're ready to share. Okay, we've got about 30 seconds. And then remember to click away also when you're finished typing. I love that sunglass guy. He's so funny, Danny.
I like him. I like the googly eye guy too.
Just one thing, you mentioned that you have to get used to the gray arrow versus the green arrow. I just want to let you know that your arrow, the check marks appear as green to me. They are not gray.
Oh, and you're on a Mac, aren't you, Dominique?
I am.
Cool. The Mac is better than the PC this time, Joanna.
That's unusual.
I don't know if it's just my computer, but when people use the pointer tool to select or own a space on the window, if they stay too far to the left of the screen, I don't see at all who it is. I only see the tip of the blue arrow right now, and I only see the tip of the green one.
Can you scooch in, Denise and Caitlin?
Yeah.
There we go.
I don't know if it does
Super.
that on everybody's computer,
It does.
but it does on mine.
Yeah, it does. You can change the screen size, your viewing screen size in WebEx. Would you mind staying on actually, Dominique, for like 2 minutes afterwards, just so we can see the new setup on the Mac?
No problem.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Thank you. And then I'll show you how you can do that on the Mac.
All right. So Danielle, if you were to choose one of these 3, which one would you like to talk about tonight?
Supporting children through deployment and reunion. We find that I mean, with the Navy being very active on the East Coast here, ships are in and out often. It's hard for us to keep up with supporting children through deployment and reunion often enough in a way that isn't oversaturating. So having that available as a web option that people could participate in would allow us to do it more frequently. It would also allow us to do it for specific ships when they are leaving or coming home and their specific families, so it becomes a networking activity as well. As it is, we offer it every couple of months, and it's open to any ship, which is fine. It just doesn't allow for that networking of specific families attached to a ship.
So is that a parenting workshop then, supporting children through deployment?
It is. It runs in two components right now. While the parents are working with two facilitators in one room, there are programmers working with the children doing age-appropriate activities related to deployment or reunion. So the same tools the parents are learning, the facilitators and programmers are practicing with the kids at the same time.
Oh, you could maybe use a breakout room for that.
Yeah, and I was thinking breakout rooms for age groups as well, depending on the age of the children.
Neat. Oh my goodness, that sounds really, really adventurous. Very good. Caitlin, if you were to choose one, which would you like to talk about tonight?
I'll talk about the financial plan for transition. So since I've partnered with SysUp, and right now we just deliver a briefing, and it's usually done in an evening. We haven't had a very high response. However, when we survey our community, the response is that they want information regarding financial planning, and that's a big piece of their stress pie as they're leaving the military. So to be able to get that information on a WebEx format would be helpful to reach more people, but it would be also partnering with SysUp to ensure that their presentation is interactive, because I know right now it's very PowerPoint focused.
Exactly, yes. So we're working with, did you happen to look at the recordings of the SysUp program?
I didn't get a chance to look at them yet, no, but I got
Good. So, and we're going to be doing another interactive session in February, but this time instead of an hour, they're only doing 20 minutes.
Oh.
So it's going to be 3 topics. One is for deployment, one is for credit cards, and one is for credit check.
Great.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Very good. Well, financial transition is really doable in a virtual classroom. Absolutely. Heather, if we were to choose one of yours, which would it be?
For me, I think right now it would be like the relocation help coming to Kingston. We're quite a vibrant city, and there's quite a bit in our community, especially geared towards military families and military children outside of the MFRC. So I think it'd be really, really helpful for families to be able to get on, and ask questions, and we could partner with community members to run it and just provide information, as to what's here. Summer's full of festivals. Like, it's just, there's so much information that we could pass along. Some of the questions that we get here are, where do most of the francophones move? Like, what areas are safe for our kids? What are the best schools? So these are the things that we could answer in that.
Absolutely. So we've had welcome to various places as well as introduction to the community. So that would really translate well into an interactive virtual workshop. Super. And Dominic, if we were to choose one, which would you choose?
Well, I guess I would start with the who we are and explain the role of the Ombudsman's office and, who our constituents are. I think for the most part, families don't realize that other than the MFRC, the Ombudsman's office is their way into the great big machine, and that they don't have to, fear reprisal. There's all sorts of services we offer that maybe they just don't know about. And we're, for some people, the first place to look, because we have people here that are subject matter experts that can point them in the right direction. And for others, we're the office of last resort. So if their spouses have filed a grievance and they're not getting results, we can possibly look at what they've put out there and help them through. So I think I'd start with the who we are, because it's the general, idea of what our office does.
I think as a military spouse, Dominic, this is phenomenal, because I did not know anything about the Ombudsman office until you and I connected. And I think it's so valuable. What you do is so important and so valuable for us to have our voice heard. So thank you.
Thank you. No, I think it's important because our office too, like there should be no fear of reprisal. We know what reprisal looks like. We know that it can be, you know, inconspicuous sometimes, and everything's confidential. You can come here and ask your questions and not worry that, you know, the Padre will tell the commander, you know, or you can, you know, just really feel comfortable here.
That's really great. Glenda, if you were to choose one.
I think I will choose the welcoming your culture. It's a little, it's kind of a header subject too. It will be for the new families. Thank you. It will be for the new families in the region to know better the city, the schools, the supermarkets, the health system, and everything that's go around with a new déménagement, with a new movement, with a new moving. So I think that's it.
I think that would be wonderful. I remember one of our virtual our final projects was on Newfoundland. Welcome to Newfoundland, and oh my goodness, they spoke about the language that they speak there, and the food, and the dancing, and the entertainment. It was really very engaging presentation.
Yes.
So, and that's great for people to have as a recording as well, where they can listen to it before they move.
Yes.
Super. And my friend Denise, which would be one you'd like to chat with today?
I'll go with how to set up a military wives choir. As I mentioned before, it's a rapidly growing movement across the country. And as choir members get into a choir and it becomes a very important part of their lives, when they're posted away and there is not a choir in existence, quite often they would like to set one up. This is how the choir will grow across the country. So then I get a lot of emails asking, how do I go about that? Now, we do have a national association, so this would be a great help to the national association if we could create a virtual program that we could share.
And you can record it as well.
Yes.
Get that message out. Wow, these are great topics. These are really, really excellent topics. So this is just getting our ideas on paper, and nothing is set in stone just yet. I just want you thinking about your final project because it will be here before you know it. Time really flies. So everything we say in this program, we say and we do for a reason. So if you can raise your hand, tell me, what did Joanna do as she was producing this segment for us? What were some of the things that you noticed she did? Linda, what was one thing that she did?
She encircled with a carré, with a square, our subject that we choose.
Absolutely. So she encased so that you brought your eyes to the presentation. Very good. Danny, what else did she do?
She put check marks beside all of our names after we had finished speaking about our workshop.
How did she do that, do you think, Danny?
She used the marker tool. The drop-down menu beside the pencil on the left-hand side of the screen.
I love it. So, Caitlin, why do you think she put the check marks there?
To show who has spoken and who hasn't, to help the person who's facilitating figure out who needs to go still.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a great thing. Is there anything else that anybody noticed that, Heather, what did you notice?
Pretty much everything that was just mentioned, actually.
Yeah. So the other thing that she might do is she may comment in the chat as well, and there you go. Hello, and just following what's going on in the chat. So these are all part of what you would do when you're producing, and you'll see that when you do your demonstration that you'll be doing producing. Now the thing with a virtual brainstorm, and we talked about this in the demonstration, is every time we do a virtual brainstorm, we have to have the answers ready to go. That's one of the best practices because you never know if you're going to have engagement with your participants. They may be having an off day and they're maybe not focused for this particular day. So you always have to have the answers ready to go, and it encourages continued discussion. So here's some programs that we've seen as final projects. And use your pointer now on the top left-hand side of the screen to choose one that you find is unique or different. Yeah. Joanna, do you want to talk to the internet bullying?
Sure, we brought in a guest speaker from oh, shoot. It's the university there in Victoria. What's it called? University of Victoria? I don't even know. Anyways, we brought in a PhD who specializes on cyberbullying, and he came in and did a talk about what is cyberbullying, what does it look like, and what are the options for dealing with it, whether you're a person who works with youth or if you're a parent or if you're a teenager. And we were able to make a recording of it and then make that recording available to the people who weren't able to attend the live workshop.
And that is available as a recording as well, right?
Yes. Did you not hear me say that?
Yeah. Missed that. No, sorry. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So Denise or Heather, did you still have a question?
No.
Oh, no, sorry.
No? Your hands are going to get tired.
Oh, sorry.
I've been waiting all night to say that one. So Caitlin, what do you think about searching for CAF spouse talent to present in the virtual classroom?
I just wanted clarification on what that was.
You know, that one's new to me too.
Which one?
Searching for CAF spouse talent to present in the virtual classroom. I would say, I don't know where that's coming from.
I know what it was. We had been talking, I'm not sure who added or when, but we were talking about it's a way to encourage and get spouses who have an acumen, they are talented with something, they have a small business, anything really, who would, it's a way to give them a voice. So just like my voice, using this platform actually gives our spouses a voice if they want to reach out to the other spouses across Canada and in the outcans as well.
It does give them a voice. Plus, it's a great opportunity for a training of a new skill for a volunteer. So like Denise volunteers at MFRC-PEI, and so she has this opportunity to learn this new skill. We had a great opportunity for that. And setting up a family care plan, Denise. Tell me about that.
I just think that would be a very interesting workshop. It's something that we set it up once and we forget to revise it. It should be revised every year as things change.
Absolutely. Yeah, so these are just some of the interactive virtual programs that we've hosted before, and many of them are on recordings, and it's a great way to outreach to our families. Before we go on, Dominique, I would like to pass you the ball so that we can have a look at your screen.
Okay.
So I'm going to pass you the ball.
Okay.
And then I'm going to walk you through how to share your session window so we can see what you're seeing.
Perfect.
Because Dominic is on a Mac computer. So if you would go up to share on the top left-hand side, you'll see File, Edit, Share, and then My Session Window, which is the very last choice.
I do not see this file. Oh, yes. File. And then where do I go?
No, you go to Share.
Okay.
And then My Session Window, which is the last choice.
Yep, okay.
If they haven't changed it.
Okay.
Go. All right. So, oh my goodness, yours hasn't changed.
I'll show you with the what happens when I put the camera on.
For those, if you're like me, I can't see her screen yet, so let me just take a second. Oh, there we go.
You can't see the screen yet?
Yeah, I got it now. Yeah, so I think that they did the release on PCs first, and they'll be doing the new release on Macs down the road.
Ah,
You'll notice
interesting.
my check marks are green, little things are red. I got the little hands.
That's what it looks like for us before this new upgrade. So if Margaret were to share her screen, you'd see that ours looks different. And then
which one do you like better?
You know what? There's pluses and minuses about. They're not super different, but I do sort of miss the color. Like I miss seeing the green and the red, and then what I was saying to you before, if you need to, in the lower left-hand corner, you can see that zoom in, zoom out, 83%.
Yeah.
You can zoom out a little, or zoom out a little bit if you're having trouble seeing people's, like everything fitting on the screen properly.
Super. So that's just one way of troubleshooting. We can see somebody's. We can walk them through finding different tools.
That's
great.
It's good.
Excellent. So now we're going to go back. I'm going to take the ball back, and we're going to go back to the classroom. So thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Margaret, do we have a second so you can show Dominic what ours looks like?
Of course. So Dominic, this is what ours look like. I'm going to share in the top left-hand screen, and then I'm pressing my session window. So you can see what I see. Can you see what I see? A star, a star.
Wow.
You see, so it's gone gray here.
I find it looks very basic, and I don't know, I feel like there's missing stuff. It's not like polished. It doesn't look as polished.
So you know what I've done is Joanne, I didn't tell you this. I connected today with the president of Cisco WebEx through LinkedIn. And I said, I'd really like to have a meeting with you because how can you keep changing things on us like this? And he said, sure, I'd absolutely love to hear from you. So I'm going to be talking to the president of Cisco WebEx shortly.
Well, let him know that that was a comment that people don't think it looks as polished. I think their goal was to make it look more sleek, but in doing so, it took away some of
especially the lines. I can't follow the chat anymore. I find it really hard to follow the chat.
Yeah, it's definitely different.
So there you go. You have to always have a plan B, C, and D ready to go. So we're going to learn the importance of teaching various learning styles, as we said before. Excuse me. And showing a video during a presentation teaches to both the audio and the visual participant. So there was a really great way to share a video before they made some changes, and now it's changed again. So what we're going to do is I'm going to be putting the video link into the chat in a moment. But before I do that, I'm going to ask you to do a few things for me. I'm going to ask you each to mute your microphone so that we cannot hear other versions, because if anybody has their microphone open, you'll hear. I'm going to ask you to click on the link in the chat. We have to change this a little bit. Click on the link in the chat, and it's going to bring you to a different screen where you're going to see this video. It's only a 1-minute video, but it's a fun video. And when you're done, you're going to see a blue and green ball at the bottom of your screen, and you're going to have to click on that blue and green ball to come back to the class. Okay, so I'm just going to check to make sure that everybody is muted. Good, excellent. And give me a green check when you're ready, and I'll put the link into the chat. So double click on the link and make sure you click on the blue and green ball when you're ready to come back and give us a happy face. So remember to give us a happy face when you're back. Do, 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 do. And to come back, you click on the blue and green ball at the bottom of your screen.
I had trouble finding the blue and green ball.
Oh, good, but you found it, so we need to celebrate. Woot, woot.
I know, I feel like it deserves a celebration. Some of this makes me so nervous.
We celebrate everything, and you cannot break WebEx. You can't. Joanna and I have tried. You can't.
Oh, I'm sure some people could. I feel like I could.
All right. So that's just a fun, light way to end the session, and it just teaches to other learners. Hey, Joanna, do you want to talk about the assignment this week?
I don't know about everybody else, but I don't hear anything if something's being said.
No, so Joanna, are you muted? There we go.
Yeah, I was muted, sorry. All right, sorry. So what I was saying was we're going to take a closer look at the upcoming assignment that you are going to be doing, which is first, practicing the presentation of the 1-hour demonstration of the virtual tools with a partner. So give me a green check or a gray check, depending on which system you're on, if you have received the script and PowerPoint of the demonstration of the virtual classroom tools. And it would have looked familiar to you because you took this demonstration with Margaret. All right, excellent. So everybody's seen it. So our partners in practice sessions have been chosen, and your partners and you, Margaret, can you just not change that thing so many times? You're killing me. So Heather and Shelley are going to be with Margaret. Brittany, at this point, has dropped out of the class, and so Caitlin, I will be both your partner, so your producer, and then we'll switch roles, but I'll also be hosting the session as well for you. And then Dominique and Denise, I needed to actually talk with you about that time, so I'm going to just check with you before we leave. And then Glenda and Danielle, Danielle, Monday the 16th at 9 a.m. Eastern Time with Margaret. So your partner, this is actually a great opportunity for you to have hands-on with each of us. So this first assignment is just a practice. And then once you've delivered this to a few members of your locations, you will have this presentation script to use anytime and to adapt as you see fit. So if you want to teach members of your community or family members or coworkers how to use WebEx, you'll have this presentation and script that you can then make your own and teach them how to use the program so that they feel comfortable attending a live session. So that's the beauty of this class. Okay, so the assignment is 2 parts. Where you're going to practice, and then once we have the practice session, we will schedule a time to actually deliver it to your communities. And so we'll have to figure out a time that works for all of us. And so are there any questions? I mean, it was pretty detailed, but I can read I can go over this if you want, but the email that you received from Margaret and your handbook has pretty detailed instructions.
Does everybody have a handbook? Give me a happy face if you've received your handbook. A red X if you have not yet.
So you're going to get in touch with your partner to decide who's going to produce for the first half and who's going to present for the first half, and then halfway through you switch roles, and the person who's producing becomes the presenter and the presenter becomes the producer. And then one of you needs to be in charge of the PowerPoint presentation add-ons, such as pictures for your introduction, like Margaret and I had at the beginning, adding your logos to the PowerPoint, your contact information, and if you wanted to add any clip art or anything. And then who will manage the script changes, additions. Those are pretty minor, just adding your names and your bios. So any questions about that? So Caitlin, you and I we'll chat separately since I'm going to be your partner. Yeah, Dominique.
Will you always be sending us links in our to log on to these sessions? Because I feel like if I wasn't getting those links, I'd have no idea how to like get into WebEx for now. Like I feel like I'm just getting lucky that a link popped up this morning at 11:57, my personal email, and I was like, oh, thank God, because when I went to log in, I wasn't really clear anymore. Is my username my email? Did I do this? Like it was just by luck. So when we're going to practice with you, are you going to send us a link, a type of invitation to the, since you're the like host?
So we sent the link where you click to register. And if you click on the link from the email that I sent you, that will bring you to register for the session. And then once you're registered, you're going to get a message with login instructions.
Perfect.
In that second email with login instructions, if you scroll down, if you use Outlook or Gmail Calendar, you can actually, there's a link to add that session information directly to your calendar. So you can link it directly to your Outlook calendar or your Gmail calendar. And I find that very useful. So that way I don't lose, if I lose the email, it doesn't matter because I've got it saved in my calendar, and the calendar has all, the calendar event then has all the links in it as well.
It's that I've got emails where there's a link and I can use it, and there's other ones where, you know, this is the session number and online 123 is the password, and I'm like, where do I put this? Do I need this? Where will I need this? And I don't know. So I'm very happy I keep hitting a link by accident and getting, you know, getting in, but I feel like I don't feel knowledgeable enough on that part, and I feel if ever I had to troubleshoot with somebody on the other side, I wouldn't be able to.
That takes practice, and the other thing too is we're going to be offering office hours in the week between when we don't have a class, and I would suggest you come to that, and we can go through that step by step for you.
Okay, thank you.
And Margaret, can you just make a note real fast so that I don't forget? Can you send me the link for Dominique's and, well, actually, never mind, because we need to determine a time first. I'll get back to you on that. I'll get back to you on that.
Absolutely. And the links are in the email that I sent to you earlier today. Awesome. Okay. And the other part of the of your assignment is when you have the presentation and the script, it's the give and go. So we're just going to go through a few structures about the script. So the script, you'll notice, has different colors. So one color is for the presenter, and they're in bold. If you're speaking, it's in bold. And one color is for the producer. So here the producer is blue and the presenter is black. Anytime somebody's speaking, you bold it. And anytime there's a job to do, like the producer's passing the ball or wait while you do something, an activity, that's underlined. So you're sure not to say that. Anything underlined you don't say. You only say what is in bold. You'll see the timing on the slide, and you'll see the cumulative timing. So that keeps us right on schedule so that we know how much time we have to speak on each different section. And if you refer to the page 16 in your handbook, you'll hear more about the script. But just for when you're doing your practice, that's how the script works. Bold is speaking, underline is actions, and the timings are there as well. And we're going to talk more about the script as well. Dominique.
I'm just having a question about timing, because for some reason, nowhere on the Mac do I see the time going by. I don't have a little, not even the clock is appearing. So is there a way to keep track of the time without having to have your phone next to the computer?
Well, everybody's different, so I use the clock on my computer. If I didn't have, I would use a phone or something like that beside me. Yep. Whatever works for you. Find what works for you.
I wasn't sure if there was something in WebEx that, you know, could keep me on time without okay.
I'll talk to the president about that.
Thank you.
I just use the little clock that's in the toolbar of my computer.
So again, just to reiterate, during the practice session, we're going to go through the presentation, each page of the script, and to give you an idea of the behind the scenes in the virtual classroom. You're also going to bring your calendars because you're going to pick the day for your demonstration to your community. And you'll learn a few other tools as you go along. And I promise that this will all become more clear during your practice session. And any questions, it's like you're having a one-on-one tutoring with Joanna or myself. And these are the practice times. Dominic and Denise, is it possible to start at 1 instead of 2?
I'll have to look at my work calendar, but I think that would be possible. It's just I'm not sure right now how much work there is to actually put in this, and that would just leave tomorrow morning.
For the practice, there's not a lot to do at all.
Okay.
Just bring it with you. Yeah, so is there anything else you wanted to add, Joanna?
No.
Is Denise still here? I didn't hear her, if it was okay with her.
Denise, you're muted?
Yeah, that's fine for me.
Okay.
So 1 p.m. would work?
I hear something going on, Denise, in your background.
Yeah.
So Dominic, can you, I'm going to put my email in the chat box there for you, Dominique, because I'm going to be the person who's hosting it for you. Can you just let me know ASAP if you can do 1 o'clock tomorrow so we can have Margaret rebook the session for that time?
I think it'll be fine. You can go ahead and reschedule
it.
And,
okay, perfect.
Yeah, and if I have anything, I'll just move it.
Okay, that's great. So for Dominic and Denise, just watch. Margaret's going to send you an updated time with an email with the updated link.
I'm also putting my phone number in the chat because when I'm doing this, I'm away from my normal computer and I'm away from my normal phone, and I may have trouble. So if you don't see me at 1, I'm trying to get into this Mac that I don't know very well, so I feel kind of Mac-tarded, and I'll have my phone.
Okay, so if there's no other questions at this point, it's top of the hour. It's 8 o'clock at night, and we did you learned a ton. So give yourselves a round of applause. First session done, and I hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And you know that the confidence is just going to be continuing to grow. So I'm really excited to get to know each one of you a little bit better, and to exit out. If you don't, we're going to be here if you have any questions, but if you don't have any questions, just click on the red X on the top right-hand side of the screen.
Okay, thank you. I'll see you or chat with you next week.
See you
Thank
in
you.
a practice.
Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody. Pleasure meeting you all today.
I actually have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.